Hey, ADNC family. Hope all is well. Emma Ansah coming to you from Canada, and it is hump day. So I hope everybody's having a good week so far. So today's topic, we're going to talk about us, Black people, and who we choose to be friends with. Why am I talking about that? Because I am seeing more and more stories of Black people being the only person in the room at a social gathering, and somehow they are the only ones that end up either seriously injured or unalived. And I came across another story of this exact thing. I want you to take a look at this brother who apparently, after a night out at a bar or a club, not sure which one it was, but they were out. And I guess they're back at the home of one of the folks, I'm assuming, because he's the only Black man there, surrounded by a bunch of them. And I want you to take a look at how they treat him, what happens, and we'll talk about it further.
DJ! You some milk, please?
Give him some more.
Give him some milk. No, bro. Hey, you gotta refrigerate. Hey, stop that shit, bro. Here you go. Hey, no. By who?
Who is DJ's ride? Y'all need to get the fuck out of here.
Hey, you have like a broom or something? Nah, bro.
Please, go to the fucking bed. Get off the stairs.
Come back.
So, as I said, they're mocking him. They throw chocolate milk all over him. He repeatedly told them to stop. They're still doing it. He appears to be inebriated. And as usual, a Black man in a space with a bunch of people who I guess are supposed to be his friends. Not sure whether he just met them out, but I'm assuming that he knows them at least to some extent. He became the punchline, okay? The one Black person in the room. And the interesting part is that they chose chocolate milk to pour on him, put a towel over his head, etc., etc. Now, this is why I say, me personally, I'm not going to any social gathering where I'm the only person of color in the room. It's just not happening. I'm not going to be the only Black face in the room and a social gathering, whether it's work related or what have you, not doing it. Because my level of trust is 0, -0, -0, okay? We have to be careful who we choose to be friends with. We have to be careful who we choose to be around in social gatherings. We definitely have to be careful when we're invited to something and we're the only Black person. We have to be careful about who we really think are our friends, okay? Because, as I said, I'm seeing more and more of these stories. This man got off, I think, because we don't know what happened afterward, but I'm going to assume that at the very least, or the very most, he probably woke up with a hangover. No reports of him being unalived or found buried somewhere or anything like that thus far. So his story is humiliated, racially harassed, probably a hangover, best case scenario, okay? But that's not the case with a lot of other situations like this where a Black person is the only person in the room. I will give you an example. Here in Canada, we have a young man by the name of Shamar Barnett, who on Canada Day weekend in 2024, this man here, who was supposed to be his friend and coworker, invited him to an all-white party. And when I say all-white, I just mean you wear all white, not all white people. But there were all white people at that party, and he was the only Black man there. What happened to him? Well, he ended up drowning in a pool in the home, and there were 50 different stories. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but there were so many different stories about what happened, and none of it added up. Okay, first they said that he drank too much, and when he got in the pool, he drowned because he was drunk, and he didn't listen to them when they told him not to go in the pool. Then they said they tried to pull him out of the pool. They called 911 and they tried to administer CPR, and they followed the instructions of the EMTs. And then they put a spoon in his mouth, and somehow his teeth got knocked out. There were all these things that didn't add up. The coroner report shows that there was no alcohol in his body. So there were all these things that didn't add up. Okay. But they ruled it as no foul play. It was an accidental drowning, and move on. So the family is now still grieving, wanting answers, not getting any answers because they've ruled it out. Again, this man here was supposed to be his friend and coworker and invited him to that party. And he's the only black man and the only black man that was unalived. I did this story a while back. So this is Shamar Barnett. Rest in peace, Shamar Barnett. Then we have this sister's name is Tamala Horsford, who in 2018, mother of 5, attending a sleepover party with, as you can see, mostly the folks. And she was found unalived in the backyard the next morning, face down beneath a balcony. Okay. Let me just rewind this back so we can see her. Okay. She was found unalived, and look at her posed up all nice with her friends, apparently, and fellow football moms. Okay. Authorities ruled it out as an accidental fall while intoxicated twice. Okay. But reports say the injuries didn't fully line up, and witnesses' statements conflicted, similar to Shamar Barnett's situation, where the story just kept changing and changing, conflicted. And then it says the investigation itself raised questions, and it became a viral case because, once again, nothing's adding up with what they're saying. The only black woman in a room, mother of 5, no longer with us. Another example. And then I'm going to give an example of another brother, okay, who was with his so-called friends that are the folks. And his name is Christopher Gilbert. I don't know if you all remember this, but this young brother was on a dock with his friends who are the folks, and they knew he couldn't swim. Aspiring medical student. They pushed him in the lake, and while he was fighting and trying to stay afloat and all that other stuff, they continued to just watch. Okay. And he continued to struggle. And finally, they said it was another 10 minutes before a patron at a nearby restaurant intervened and yanked him back out. So they all were just there watching him. And if it wasn't for that person who saw and came and brought him out, he may not be here today. Okay. So they said at the time, after this happened, he was considered brain dead, and the rest of his organs were starting to fail by the time he arrived at the local hospital. His mother, Yolanda George, spent 72 hours. He says he spent 72 hours on a ventilator and an ECMO machine, which is described as a dialysis for his lungs. So according to police, his so-called friends initially tried to pass off their near death as horseplay. Oh, they were just playing. So let me see if I understand this. You're just playing, and you know this person can't swim. So you push him in and it's horseplay. So if you're just playing and you know he can swim and you're just playing around, at what point do you realize that, okay, this friend of mine can swim, so I'm going to go ahead and yank him out? So you just leave him in there and you just continue to watch him struggling, and that's horseplay? You didn't do it. They didn't do it to anybody else that looked like them. Similar to Shamar Barnett's story, similar to the other sister's story. They didn't do it to her, to those that look like her. She's the only one that ends up unalived. Shamar Barnett's the only one that ends up unalived. Gilbert is the only one that ends up almost unalived. Do we see the pattern here? All Black people amongst a group of all white people. And always conflicting stories. Always it's this happened, and then nobody's getting charged. No accountability, no foul play. And you have grieving parents, grieving sisters, brothers, family members that are left with no closure, no answers, no justice. And this is why I'm saying we have to be very careful as Black people. Sometimes, and not all of them, because I know a lot of Black people who have friends that are the folks and they're very happy and what God bless you. I'm talking about these ones. Sometimes they present really good. And you would think that they're riding for you and they're your friends to the end and all of that other stuff. But I always ask, why don't you put it to the test? Why don't you put it to the test? What happens if this so-called friend of yours that's one of the folks, and you are walking down the street, or you go into an establishment where you're the only one that's Black? What happens if you're racially profiled or you're racially attacked and you're with your so-called friend that's non-melanated? Do they rock with you? Do they defend you? Do they protect you? Do they do any of those things? To me, that's the best litmus test to see, are they really your friends? Are they really your ally? Social gatherings are social gatherings. But even in social settings, as you can see, they do show you who they are ultimately. But I'm talking about, do they really rock with you and for you when the chips are down and when everything's against you? Not just a coworker who you feel is your friend and invites you to a party like Shamar Barnett. I'm not talking about socials, because social gatherings are social gatherings, and social gatherings, you could all be in a space and you can kiki and ha ha and everything is hunky dory and peachy keen, and you can have a good time and all that good stuff. But are they truly your friend when the chips are down? When you see something like what happened to George Floyd, are they with you? Are they marching next to you? Are they doing the work? Are they educating themselves? Do they listen to you when you're talking about things that have to do with Black people? Are they interested in learning about the history of Black people? And that goes also for the folks who are in relationships with Black men or in relationships with Black women. Do you do that work? Are you really there for them when it comes down to it? That's when you really know what you're dealing with. However, as I said, we already see what we're dealing with in these situations here. And we already see what we're dealing with, pardon me, when it comes to law enforcement, and everything's always like washed in the trees, so to speak, or, thrown out or dismissed, or, no foul play, get over it, move on, and all of that other good stuff. Meanwhile, as I said, parents are still fighting for answers and we're not getting any. We report on it. We expose it. Nothing comes back. Nothing happens. So we just need to be really careful, family. We need to be really, really careful about who we lay with, who we hang out with, who we work with, all of those things. Just like we would do in any day life. If you meet somebody and somebody's a new friend or acquaintance, are we really going to just jump to this is my BFF and I'm going to be up in your house just like that? I know I don't. I mean, I grew up I always say it, I always talk about this and I'll talk about it till thy kingdom come. I grew up in a very racist part of Quebec and we were the only Black family on that street and they weren't having it. Even when, after so many years of fighting and fighting and fighting for respect, and then they eventually conceded and said, these Black people aren't going anywhere. We need to just leave them alone or be their friends. And some of them, they decided they wanted to be our friends. What do you think my parents did? Anytime they were like, oh, can Emma come over for a sleepover? You know what the answer was? Hell no. My mother was like, you're not going to sleep over at nobody's house, especially not none of them. If they want to play with you, they need to come here in this house where I can see them. You're not going to their house to play. You're not going to their house for no sleepovers. You're not doing none of that. Because at the end of the day, we got to remember, these were people that didn't want us in that neighborhood. So whether or not their kids and their parents allowed their kids to be friends with us, there was boundaries, clear boundaries. And I learned that early. Okay. So for me, I've been on the corporate plantation. I've had to work with the folks and I've been in spaces where I'm the only Black person on the team or the only Black person in the company. I've been tokenized, I've been racialized, I've been through all of that. And I made a point of, being very cautious. I was very cautious. Of course, professional, cordial, did my job well, got along with everybody. But as soon as I left those four corners, that building, that structure, that was it. That was it. I'm not going to nobody's house. I'm not going to nobody's parties. I'm not going to none of that. Okay. Because I knew my audience. And from experience, for me personally, even if there's no ill intention, even if there's no ill will, I just go based off of my instincts and my experience. Okay. So I just say all that to say is we as Black people we just really need to be very careful. We live in a world now where covert and overt and micro and macro and all of those things are just becoming, very open and very in our face. And it's not like it's getting any better. The racial unrest is still racial unrest. We're still dealing with all of that. We're still dealing with racial profiling. We're still dealing with us always being at the top of the list of racial profiling, being pulled over, overrepresentation in law enforcement, in the jails, in all of that stuff. We're still at the top. Okay. We're still in situations where we're walking into stores and they don't think we belong there. Like if we're going into Saks Fifth Avenue or what have you, there's a look, there's being followed around. All of those things aren't going away. Okay. So we just need to be really, really careful. Really, really careful. And again, I'm not vilifying all of them. Not. I'm just saying we know. And there's enough examples. I brought 3, but there are plenty more. There are plenty more, and I'm sure there are plenty more that we just don't know about. I actually happen to know about another situation that happened here in Canada, but the mother is not interested in talking about it publicly. So it exists. It exists, and it's more than we know. So, we just have to be careful. This situation with this Black man and the chocolate milk, you would think that, oh, well, at least they didn't put hands on him and at least he's not bodily injured and all that other stuff. But it is assault. It's assault. It is racism. It is racially assaulting. It is humiliating. It's all of the things that, Black people have been going through since the beginning of time. Back in the day, they used to get hosed down. he got chocolate milk poured on him. It's still a form of humiliation. It's still a form of racism. It's still a form of a bunch of white punks who don't like Black people and pretend to be friends. And they're doing what they do, right? And they're having a good laugh about it. Now, if there were some consequences for this, like they were called out, they lost their jobs, or something along those lines, then of course it would be the apology tour, and we were just horse playing, we were just playing around, we were drunk, we know better, I'm so sorry, and all those other things. No, we're not trying to hear that. We're not. And this Black man, I really truly hope that he never has anything to do with these people again, ever. And I hope that this is a lesson to these young people that are out here hanging out with some of these folks that do not have good intentions for them. So let that be a lesson to you all. Please be careful. I say it again. Please, please be careful. Ah, uh, anyhow, family, I just wanted to share this with you. Another lesson to us. I hope that this is going to be well received and shared. Parents, sit down with your children, okay? And adopt the model that my parents did. Let you come here. Let me see you here in our house. And that also is another test to see, will the folks' parents allow that child to come to your house? And if they don't, then there's nothing good going on here. Because if they're supposed to be friends, they should be allowed in the Black people's house too, right? So that's how my mother went down. And I appreciate her for that. I do. Because at that time we were young, we were young. We were young and we were like, oh, they want to be our friends, 7, 8, 9 years old. So my parents knew better. They're like, yeah, no. So yeah, sit down with your kids, have those conversations, make sure that this family. If the folks want to all of a sudden be friends, make sure this family, okay? And yeah, keep it in the Black house. Keep it in the Black house. That's what I say if you choose to be friends with them. Anyway, family, thank you so much for listening. Before I let you go, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already downloaded the African Diaspora News Channel app, please make sure to do so. And I will allow you to see why. Take a look at this.
In H-Town, we want news that speaks truth, just like we do.
ADNC keeps me informed and him inspired.
We've been through too much to trust mainstream media. This feels like us.
From the D to the diaspora, ADNC is how I stay woke.
We binge ADNC like it's Netflix, but smarter.
They speak on us, but never for us. ADNC does.
No fluff, no filters, just the truth, daily.
From Wall Street to 125th, we're watching our news.
Download the African Diaspora News Channel app today to stay connected to the culture.
Not only staying connected to the culture, but you also get first dibs on the content. So not only are you getting first dibs on the content, you're also getting it 24 hours before it gets onto YouTube. That's the first thing. And then also you get exclusive content that you won't see here. Exclusive content that uncensored, we can say what we want, we can do what we want, we can show what we want. A lot of you are like, why are you always blurring this out? And why are you muting? We want to see it. Well, if you grab the African Diaspora News Channel app, you will be able to see it all. No fluff, like the lady says in the video, no fluff, no filters, by us, for us, our own platform. So head over to your Google or Apple store and grab that app. I promise you, you're going to see some stuff there that you'll be like, okay, I wish I had done this a while ago. So make sure that you do that. The other thing the ADNC Narrative Power Summit that's going to be happening in July here in Toronto. I expect you all to get your tickets. It'll be in the description field of this broadcast. So head over, grab your tickets. We have an early bird special where you can get tickets for $50 and you'll have the opportunity to meet Brother Phil and Sister Demetra and Sister Wangel and Brother Theo and perhaps more surprise guests from the ADNC team. So you want to come out. It's going to be a good vibe. You know, you watch us all the time here, and here's an opportunity to see us all in the flesh. And we can shake hands and eat some good food, get some good music, have some good discussions, really good discussions. You know, there's an opportunity to learn so much from Phil and the rest of the team. You know, we expect to see you there. And I'm going to talk to the Americans that live, you know, close to the border, the ones who come across all the time, and the 1 million Americans that live in Canada. I expect you all to be out here. I do. Detroit, Buffalo, Queenston, Lewiston, Amherst, Williamsville, Cheektowaga, Tonawanda, all of them places. I expect you all to be grabbing your tickets and coming out to see us all. We're looking forward to meeting everybody. Shout out to all our viewers in Canada that rock with us, that watch us all the time. We really, really appreciate you. I see the messages I get from you all, and I appreciate you all, even those that don't like what we have to say. In any event, thank you very much for tuning in, and please grab your tickets. And I can show you better than I can tell you. Just listen to what LaSherica has to say.
25th, the Narrative Power Summit is landing in the 6. This is about ownership.
This is about controlling our story. If you're serious about narrative power, strategy, and ownership, this is the room you need to be in. To get your tickets, go to africandiasporanews.org/Canada. I'll see you in Toronto.
That's what she says. And we shall see you in Toronto, and we hope to see you in Toronto. As I said, the link to purchase the tickets is in the description field. So grab your tickets. We hope to see you there. As I said, it'll be a great vibe. Toronto is a beautiful city. And to those who haven't been to Toronto, you'll really enjoy it. You'll really enjoy it. It's the venue is stunning. The food's going to be great. The music is going to be fantastic. And we'll have some surprise musical guests alongside Juno Award-winning R&B recording artist Carlos Morgan and his band. So it's going to be live music as well. I mean, nothing is better than live music. Come on. Like I said, there'll be some surprise guests as well. So, you know, it's going to be a good vibe. It's going to be a good vibe. There's going to be a lot of amazing speakers that'll be there, including some amazing speakers from ADNC, obviously. And then, of course, here in Canada as well, we have some amazing speakers like Salam Debs, anti-racism coach. She's crushing it. We have Simone Jennifer Smith from Toronto Caribbean Magazine here to help. She's crushing it. You know, we have Emmanuel Kulu, who is the CEO of ARIA. I mean, the lineup is incredible. We've got Efia, who's out here in Canada. She is a beautiful Ghanaian woman who's crushing it. So many people, so many great people on the Canadian side. It's going to be hosted by Dr. Vibe. He's an award-winning podcaster here in Canada. I mean, star-studded. No reason not to be there. Again, I expect my American brothers and sisters too that live close and those that live far, because I'm going to say it again. I see all y'all down here for Caravana. You all drive from far, every year to come and jump up in the Caribbean Carnival. So I expect you to be down here too to come meet us. So grab your tickets. africandiasporanews.org/Canada. And as I said, early bird tickets are on sale now. Grab those before you get it, before they're no longer here. And come on out. Come on out. So thank you so much for listening, brothers and sisters. I shall see you on the next one. Until then, please be safe.